see my screen. There you go. So, welcome to this presentation of the EU FarmBook. I remember that I have 15 minutes, which I should not forget because I know myself. When you arrive on the EU FarmBook, so you basically just type in eufarmbook.eu, like you see here on top. You just arrive on the landing page, which already says that it's a pilot version. In the menu, you can immediately see the topics, which are 6 different topics. We got to those really through a lot of discussion. You might have some ideas on how to do it differently, but do realize that there has been a lot of discussion going on just to get to those 6 categories. Now, what is very important about those 6 categories is that the knowledge objects that you will find inside are not exclusive to that topic. So if you have, for instance, a knowledge object, a presentation on forestry, but it also relates to economics, you will be able to find it both in economics and in forestry. So it's not like you will miss out on a knowledge object if you choose the wrong, for instance, topic. Then we also have some information about us, a help page, the login, which I will show a bit later, and of course, our very interesting language multilingual option. Then we also have the contribute to EU FarmBook, which I'm going to keep for last, because it segues very nicely into what Hercules will be saying. Now, you come into the landing page and you will be able to immediately search, if you want, the entire database. And you can do it either on everything, or you can already pre-select one of the topics. Now, we always sort of assume that there are 2 main scenarios with which a visitor will come to the platform. Either a visitor will have a very clear question to which they need an answer, and for that, they will probably use the search function. If they don't, and they are more looking to explore what is going on, or they don't really have a very clear idea of what it is that they need to be looking for, then it's going to be a bit easier to just follow these broad topics. If it's related to economics, then they can choose economics. If it's more societal problems or related to livestock, that already helps them decide. We do not want to create too many topics, because then people will start having difficulties choosing. So we go into the crop farming, and here what you immediately notice is that you again have this option to search, because who knows, by now you actually have found, for instance, you're scrolling through some of the knowledge objects, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, that's actually what I'm looking for. So you can start specifically looking, searching on FarmBook, and it's going to search specifically within crop farming. Now, if you basically go to the different knowledge objects, you will see that, yeah, in some cases, the title is not yet translated. That's something that we're working on. But you basically get a picture, you will get the topic to which it relates, you will see what type of knowledge object it is, a presentation. You will see a small description and keywords that are associated with it. Let's say that you're not so keen on this big tile view. Well, we considered that maybe a list view would also be very elegant for you, because yes, on the one hand, it is also a bit of a library, and we know that a lot of library websites actually use the more list view. So we opted to put both those kind of options in there. So let's say that we're interested in producing irrigation water and bioproducts from wastewater. We go in. You have noticed that I still haven't logged in, and that's important because we want you to be able to do as much as you can without having to log in. This is something that users have told us in the past that is very important to them, that they really dislike having to log in somewhere in order to get access to information. So here, what they can do is they can see, for instance, whether there are comments. They can immediately share, for instance, this is a presentation, so they can share it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or simply copy it. They can see the title, they can see when it was uploaded, by whom it was uploaded, and for instance, which organization that belongs to. They can also then go, for instance, to Vertinoa through the related links. Then there is actually a presentation that is linked to that. If they want to print it, they can immediately print it. They can also download it. For instance, voila, I opened it, downloaded it, no problem. If you're somebody who's interested in the metadata, you can open up a very extended list of metadata with everything in it. So if you are having trouble sleeping and you are looking for some metadata to look into, this is the place to go. Now it has to show this, yes. Then we also have the keywords that are related to it, and very important as well, the related content. So if there is content that is related to a specific knowledge object, then we're going to present it. So that is very important to make sure that you get a broader view of what is available in the platform. Then we also have the comments, etc. So that is actually what you get to see when you have the knowledge object that you just open up. Now, I'm going to log in. We're going to also make sure that you don't always have to return to the front page to be able to go to log in. And now you can see, for instance, that I can like it, which means that if I normally return to the overview, that's not in there yet. That normally you might be able to also start seeing that in the overview. But here you see, for instance, it has one like. I can start commenting if I want. I can, basically do a lot of things that I was able to do without logging in. But now I'm able to give comments and react to comments. So that's actually quite interesting. Now, if I return to the overview, there is the community function. And the community function is really actually quite important, because the main feedback that we've received from a lot of users is that there is a real need for a community function, and that this is something which is going to be used quite a bit by them. But of course, it's going to be a bit tricky to see how this will work out. Potentially, there will be more of need to structurize this community element, etc. But if I, for instance, want to start a thread by creating a question, I simply put in a title, write my question here, and press comment, and it will appear. If I want to start looking for some experts, here I will be able to start finding the experts, and what you're going to find exactly about the experts is generally going to be a small description about the experts, the contact info, and some specific keywords. Now, if I'm very interested in looking up something, I think, for instance, Akis, then I will see like all of these results, and I have the opportunity to either see them in tile view or in list view. I can select the content type. I can also select the topic. If I say, well, I only need, for instance, things on economics, immediately I have this. If I go to subtopics, I have the EIP Agri specific categories that they use. So I can basically start going into those and see if there's something specifically related to that. Ah, there we go. That's possible. And then I'm also able to look at, for instance, the category. Is it a document? Is it audio, an infographic, presentation, video, or an image that I want? I can also look for the language in which it was written, because for the moment, a lot of these elements, for instance, this presentation is not yet going to be translated. So this one is in Dutch, and this one is not yet translated. I will be able to translate, for instance, the small description that is available here. In the future, there will be more possibilities to also translate the content of the presentations, because the technology is evolving quite a bit. But for the moment, if there is a more elaborate explanation or description of the knowledge object, then this is really already going to help the end user a lot, because it will translate that automatically. Then I think, yes, I explained most, and I promised to show you the contribute to the EU FarmBook. Now, for if you want to go and contribute specifically to the EU FarmBook, you will need to have a separate account. So now I'm still logged in as Laurens, but for instance, here I will need to log in through a different account. I'm kind of cheating, so I'm kind of using the admin account here. But this is like a simple upload form that I think later we will be going through a bit more diligently, but it's just actually to show you that on the platform you can easily just go and upload a knowledge object if you want to, simply by making sure that you have the right credentials and that you're able to just upload that. That is kind of what I wanted to say about the platform.
Laurens, perfect timing.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you very, very much indeed. We've got a few questions coming up in the chat, at least one of which I think will carry forward to Hercules' session. But there is one from whoever Lefort is. Would you like to ask a question about questions in local language? Would you like to ask it directly to Laurens? Okay, I'll read it. So, Laurens, I don't think you answered this specifically. Can people ask their question? So, I guess this is in the context of a community. Can people ask their question in local language, and is it automatically translated in English or whatever, so that others can answer?
So this is indeed like something that I did not elaborate on too much, but indeed, you will be able to have the opportunity to start a discussion. Well, I'm going to go to the community page to start the discussion. Let's say that I'm personally, like, I wrote something in English, but somebody else like is not able to understand this. So I will go into Dutch, and then normally this one was, is it here? No, here.
I see that Hans was also actually replying in the chat about this. Hans, do you want to clarify, to contribute?
I can elaborate a bit, yes, indeed. So indeed, for the comment functionality, if Laurens could maybe show that, for instance, like below the comment, there is the possibility, like you just did, to translate the question which can be asked in whichever language you'd like. It can be translated to the actual current active language you have on the top right corner in your interface. Indeed, so that's a functionality we implemented in the FarmBook itself. So there's just a general translation engine which translates all extra context. But if you want to translate a certain comment or question, there's a small link below which says translate this comment, please.
But normally, I think in the future, the titles will also simply be translated. Because they are in the Drupal layer, and that's normally simple to do.
I think it's something we haven't picked up yet, to be honest, that the title there isn't translated. So that's more of a small thing to do then.
Can I ask sorry, it's a very general question and not kind of specific. In terms of using machine translation, I mean, I guess we're all very familiar with using sort of like Google Translate, or many of us are using kind of DeepL and what have you. To what extent is the platform, the FarmBook, relying upon these big multinational conglomerate type things, whatever they are, like Google, et cetera, or are there more independent providers of the kind of machine translation which is needed here?
Now you're opening up a very big topic of discussion, Mark.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. It was a very innocent question.
Yeah, I can say that the main translation engine being used for automatic translations is DeepL, the DeepL functionality right now. But the thing we have in place is actually the possibility to also translate metadata manually. So there is a sort of backup mechanism if there is no valid translation. So that's always how it will work. If there is no valid translation of a certain item in different languages, actually the DeepL functionality is the backup to ensure that there is at least some sort of translation. So there is always the possibility to provide extra content in different languages, which will be shown first. And if that is lacking, then it is filled up further with automatic translated context and content. Okay, that's actually how the system is built right now.
To go even deeper in that aspect, I think it's a major learning from building this pilot version is that actually the data store behind it is not completely ready for containing multi-language. It's ready to have English versions like the French versions and Italian versions all in the same database, but there is no option to link translations together. So if we have the same knowledge object in 3 different types of content, we have not yet the possibility to say this is the same content just in 3 different languages. It is considered as 3 different knowledge objects that have nothing to do whatsoever with each other. So that layer of linking, we build it in front of it, and actually we are elaborating it with DeepL if translations are not available there, so that we don't need to put the user in front of a screen that says, sorry, we don't have a translation available for you in this language. So it's a better user experience, but we are dependent from the DeepL services right now. Maybe to go a bit further there, because we had discussions, I think it was half a year ago, with people from the European Union, because Europe is or has its own translation services that they are building on this side of the water, to put it that way. So those things are available, and I think the conclusion was there for the follow-up project that we really need to talk deeper in what extent those services are ready to implement into this platform, because they weren't as API ready as services as DeepL or Google Translate are right now.